no lives matter. This is a straight war, I'll be real with you. It's war, we're at war. This isn't like, they say there's no friends at war. So I respect the guy, as you said, he's done well, all that good stuff, but we're fighting.
To fight? Not as of yet, I'll be honest with you. I don't want to go get my head bashed in. Sparring is sparring and we can see some sort of technicality being shown. Now, a lot of people are calling it fake. They're saying that it's set up.
Jared Anderson, Lawrence Okoli, some of the best the sport's got in the heavyweight division. And he said there's no way these guys are actually going in there and sparring to the full extent. Look, you're a fighter. You've had so many camps throughout your life. Do you think Jake is almost asking them to go easy, or do you think this is proper sparring going on?
The point of sparring is to learn. The point of sparring is not for them to get in there and give Jake a concussion. So
Anthony Joshua has repeatedly dismissed Jake Paul's knockout sparring clips as misleading, suggesting the footage exaggerates Paul's effectiveness. Joshua insists that authentic sparring should be balanced and competitive, not choreographed for highlights. He maintains that once the fight reaches the ring, reality will surface quickly.
As a boxer?
Yeah, definitely. He's always wanted to be a boxer. He's got a stand-up game. I respect him.
Several analysts have echoed skepticism toward Jake Paul's sparring footage, arguing that it appears selectively edited to showcase only knockout moments. They contend that releasing isolated clips fails to reflect the full scope of the sessions or Paul's overall performance. Critics suggest that showing 3 to 4 uninterrupted rounds would offer a more accurate evaluation. They also note that some sparring partners lack elite skill, making them easier targets than true heavyweight contenders. These factors raise doubts about how well the footage represents Paul's real readiness against top-level opposition.
Sparring videos, that I agree with that. If we're going to see that clip of you knocking this guy down, we want to see at least a full round. We want to see what you're actually doing. If you're going to show us knocking this guy down, show us more. Is his opponent any good? Okay, that's another very good question. His opponent may just be, and we couldn't really see much of him there. He didn't really throw a shot. His opponent might be a nobody. His opponent might be a guy who started box fit a few weeks ago. So that's a very good point. It's things like this we have to actually ask when we, boxers essentially putting up videos of them knocking people out. Who is this guy? You need to know that, because then that kind of qualifies that knockout or knockdown to be good.
Andrew Tate offered a blunt assessment of Paul's sparring, suggesting the sessions lack authenticity. According to Tate, the heavyweights involved are not applying full pressure, undermining the purpose of sparring. He explained that many of these fighters are compensated by Paul, which shifts their focus toward cooperation rather than competition. As a result, punches lack full intensity and defensive resistance is reduced. Tate emphasized that while such sessions may help Paul refine technique, they fall short of simulating the demands of facing a truly elite heavyweight.
That's everything wrong with the sport.
I think as a boxing purist, it's quite upsetting to watch, young fighters struggle to pay the bills and struggle in little shithole gyms around the country trying to get big money fights and going through the Olympics and going through the amateurs and not being able to pay their bills. And I understand how frustrating that can be. So I think that's where the frustration comes from. I don't think it's everything that's wrong with boxing. I think that anything that gets people to tune in to a boxing match is good for the sport.
One more comment that he said was, Jake's been sparring Frank Sanchez, Jared Anderson, Lawrence Okoli, some of the best the sport's got in the heavyweight division. And he said there's no way these guys are actually going in there and sparring to the full extent. Look, you're a fighter. You've had so many camps throughout your life. Do you think Jake is almost asking them to go easy, or do you think this is proper sparring going on?
The point of sparring is to learn. The point of sparring is not for them to get in there and give Jake a concussion so he can't fight. So are they trying to knock Jake out? No. But are they giving him enough work for him to learn?
Gareth A. Davies delivered a stark warning while discussing Jake Paul's upcoming challenge. Drawing on past experiences, including the brutal knockout he witnessed Francis Ngannou suffer, Davies stressed that this matchup carries serious danger. He argued that stepping in with a seasoned heavyweight like Anthony Joshua exposes Paul to risks far beyond anything he has faced before. According to Davies, the reality of the threat will become immediately apparent once the opening bell sounds, transforming the bout from spectacle into a genuine test of survival.
And I watched him knock out Francis Ngannou inside 2 rounds.
Yeah.
How can that go 3 rounds with
Well,
Jake Paul?
It's very hard to knock out somebody that just hasn't come to fight and somebody that's just trying to survive. And that's what I think will happen to Jake
Do you think
Paul.
he'll run?
I think
and get on the ropes
he'll run like a thief in the night. Once he sees the size of Joshua, those little 10-ounce gloves that they're going to be wearing, he's going to be petrified and his backside will fall out.
I went to the press conference in Miami for that a couple of weeks ago, and he was planning to motorboat AJ, and he thought differently of it when he was standing with him.
Good luck with that, mate.
No, AJ was He'd have got motorboated out of there.
Listen, mate, listen. Good luck with that, because if he starts out with AJ, puts his chin out and starts trying to goad him in, I think Anthony Joshua will definitely iron him out early.
Do you think he finishes his boxing career then?
Let's hope so.
If Jake Paul does something weird and wins, is that impossible?
Nothing's impossible. Nothing is impossible. Highly unlikely, but not impossible.
If you'd been invited to fight Jake Paul for 25, I've heard it's 25 million. That's me behind the scenes. Other people have told me it's 60. Other people have told me it's more for Anthony Joshua. If you had been a current world champion and you'd been offered that fight with Jake Paul, would you have taken it?
100%.
So he had to take it.
He had to take
So
it.
you've got nothing against him taking it?
I've got nothing against him taking it, spending the money even. Still got nothing against that. My concern is for the health and safety of Jake Paul and the sport of boxing.
Because boxing will be pulled into the dock if something happens to Jake. It would never have been like...
Paul himself has acknowledged the physical toll of his training camp. In interviews, he admitted that sparring with heavyweight opponents has left him battered, even resulting in a nose injury. While promotional clips focus on knockouts, analysts reviewing the sessions note a more complicated picture. Some sparring partners appeared to exaggerate reactions to relatively modest punches, at times drifting toward the ropes on their own. Observers caution that while these highlights impress casual viewers, they may not reflect true preparedness for someone with Joshua's experience and power.
Was his move a couple millimeters to this camp? I'm not gonna lie, this sparring, the heavyweights, my nose has slight little something in there. A guy by the name of Frank Sanchez, he definitely cracked it a little bit. But yeah, man, it's bad. Wait, hold on. Look at that, dude. I'm like Squidward, dog. But don't respect me for getting in there. Respect me when I beat his ass. I'm not just walking into a fight. I'm going to win. That's what's gonna shock the world. I will become the king of...
Further analysis of Paul's knockout sparring has intensified questions about authenticity. Commentators observed that several opponents reacted disproportionately to strikes, creating the illusion of dominance. By yielding position so easily, sparring partners helped generate dramatic highlights that may overstate Paul's effectiveness. While such footage serves promotional purposes, analysts warn against viewing it as definitive evidence of readiness. Against a seasoned heavyweight, exaggerated reactions would disappear, exposing any technical gaps immediately.
Did it or something like that. Like, even if you, especially if you see a replay, sometimes it happens so fast. Like, if it's a replay, usually like, oh, there's the one, or like you get a reaction when someone gets hit. You're not like, oh, I wonder if. Like, if you're questioning it, and typically the fighter gave in or decided to kneel down or push himself out of the ring or wanted to get out of the fight. You can tell right away. Like, when I land a body shot on somebody or when I got hit by a body shot, you could tell. I don't know, you guys can make your own assessment, but to me, this is a little sketchy. To me, the person he was boxing.
BJ Flores, a former trainer of Paul, offered a more nuanced perspective. He explained that Paul's motivation extends beyond entertainment and spectacle. According to Flores, Paul is actively seeking legitimacy by testing himself against larger, more technically capable fighters. Unlike earlier bouts against celebrities or crossover athletes, these sessions reflect a deliberate attempt to elevate his level of competition. Flores emphasized that this approach demonstrates ambition and courage, signaling that Paul is serious about pushing past novelty.
Very tough fight, and to anybody in the industry, Anthony Joshua is a world champion, a gold medalist. This is a big difference from anybody else that Jake's fought in the past. But he's looking for these big challenges. He wants to fight the toughest guys, and I think with Anthony Joshua, he got exactly that. I mean, Anthony Joshua is a guy I would have never dreamed in a million years Jake would have fought him in his fifth year boxing in a fight situation like this. I thought he would have given it a little more time, but I mean, this is an extremely difficult fight. Anthony Joshua is 6'6", 245 pounds, extremely dangerous, gold medalist, world champion, and I think this is a very, very difficult fight for Jake. So I wouldn't have made this fight, no.
What do you give it in terms of percentage-wise? Like 60% AJ wins, 40% Jake Paul wins, or 50-50, 70-30? How do you give it?
Well, I mean, you got to go up when you go off the resumes. That's what I go off of. A lot of people will say potential, like oh, this could happen, this could happen. I only go off like who's beaten who. So if you look at it on paper, it doesn't look like Jake has any chance on paper. But I think that's probably why he wanted to make this fight. And like I said, I'm not in the camp, so I don't know all the conversations that are going on in camp Jake Paul right now. But on paper, this looks like an extremely difficult fight And any boxing experts, that I've talked to, whether it's former fighters or whoever, they don't give Jake any chance at all. I'm not saying he doesn't have any chance. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that, everybody in the know-how as far as the boxing world, they're like, Jake has zero chance to win this fight. And, it is on paper, though. It does seem like it's early. And it does, seem like it's premature, in my opinion.
So what are you giving it then? A 90-10?
Like AJ's had, I don't know, probably I want to say 30.
Despite that ambition, critics continue to question Paul's choice of sparring partners. Analysts argue that while the partners are heavyweights, they differ greatly from Joshua in reach, timing, and adaptability. The widely circulated knockout of Greg Hardy has drawn particular criticism, with observers noting Hardy's defensive limitations and tendency to absorb clean shots. Critics argue that preparing for Joshua requires partners who can replicate his blend of speed, power, and tactical awareness, something Paul's current camp may not fully provide. This has fueled broader debate about the legitimacy of his preparation.
Sparring all the wrong boxers. His preparation for the Anthony Joshua fight, and let me tell you why. The names that he's got here are Jared Anderson, Frank Sanchez, and Lawrence Okolie. They're all professional heavyweights. They are all probably top 20 heavyweights in the world right now, which is fair enough for Jake to bring them in. But in terms of preparing for an opponent, Jared Anderson is too cat and mouse. His game isn't about pure power. It is not about boxing as a boxer-puncher. It is very much an outboxer. Anthony Joshua is not going to do that. Frank Sanchez has his own kind of unique style, but I would still put him in that category as almost a plodding heavyweight. He's very, very slow. His hand speed's not quite there. Defensively, he's not that switched on. And Lawrence Okolie is very, very much a hit and grab style heavyweight. Seen Okolie, his fights are a little bit boring. Some elements of his game are similar to Anthony Joshua. He's probably the closest match, I would say, out of these guys. But the problem is with Okolie, he'll throw maybe one or two shots and then he will hold. And when people throw shots back at him, he will hold. Anthony Joshua, he's never been the best at holding. He's never been the best in the clinch. His inside work's not quite there. The height and somewhat the weight would probably be quite the same for these guys, but in terms of actually replicating a boxing style, it would have been far, far better, in my opinion, getting somebody in like maybe a Tony Yoka. Even potentially drafting in Daniel Dubois if he's available, maybe even a Filip Hergovic. I know Richard Riakpor's just had a fight, but Riakpor, in my opinion, would have been a better pick than all of these guys. But yeah, that is why Jake Paul has chosen the wrong sparring partners, why this fight's going to be horrible for Jake. But I'll give him his respect, fair play for bringing actual pro heavyweights in for sparring. Let me know in the comments, do you think these guys are good sparring partners? Think I'm wrong? Or do you agree with me? It improved Jake Paul's chances in the fight. Hit that follow button if you made it this far, and as always, a like, a favourite, a save and a share.
Chael Sonnen weighed in on comments from former heavyweight champion Bermane Stiverne, who claimed Paul had suffered injuries during training. Stiverne alleged that Paul sustained a black eye serious enough to raise concerns about the fight's status. He even suggested that insiders feared a possible cancellation, framing the bout as primarily promotional. Sonnen added that while the hype is undeniable, the physical risks Paul faces are real. Without caution, the spectacle could quickly turn disastrous, despite its massive commercial appeal.
What's going on? Lawrence gave him a black eye or something from what I heard, and the fight is not happening after those sparring sessions. It might be a lie or it might be true. I don't know. Just what I heard, so I wouldn't be surprised. If I was his advisor, talking about Jake Paul, I wouldn't take that fight, Stiverne added. I mean, business-wise, it makes sense. The numbers are great and everything, but yeah, if I was like his brother Logan, I would tell him, don't take the fight. I'd rather see you win. Somebody send me the face-to-face. You could tell. Anthony's language showed he was not scared or whatever. In my point of view, this is going to be a disaster. That breaks my heart. I'm sorry. I am sorry to Bermane Stiverne that the educational system has failed you so greatly. I'm sorry to Bermane Stiverne that you were the heavyweight champion of the world. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing your name right. I apologize to Bermane Stiverne that you were the heavyweight champion of the WBC, and I have never read your name until right here, right now. Now, I'm not looking to be a dick about it, but this is bad. This is very bad stuff. I heard somewhere not long ago, I don't know where, Well, Bermain, let's help retrace your steps. Where have you been recently? Did you hear it today? Did you hear it at the gym where you told us on the phone? I know you didn't read it somewhere. So, Bermain has information, but he doesn't.
Analyst Joey Knight highlighted Paul's awareness of the stakes involved. He noted that Paul understands how high-profile fights attract global attention and substantial financial rewards. Facing a former world champion like Joshua guarantees exposure across mainstream media, social platforms, and boxing circles. Knight emphasized that the event is carefully engineered to maximize engagement and conversation. According to him, Paul is not entering blindly. He understands both the risks and the potential career impact of a bout of this magnitude.
Lot of cash, maybe not as much as the Anthony Joshua fight, but a lot of cash, and can still have a serious chance of going on to earn even more paydays. Whereas the damage that it could do to his body could be irreversible for that opportunity to earn money in a boxing career going forward. So is this the retirement bag? Or do you actually think you can win? Because I read a study recently, and I believe it said something along the lines of men overemphasize or overcalculate their ability to fight by about 500 times. And I'm saying Jake Paul would probably need to be 500 times better to stand a chance against Anthony Joshua. And I can't get how he doesn't already know this. Surely he has sparred with heavyweights. Surely the recent sparring that he had with the likes of Shakur Stevenson and with the likes of Ray Ford, amongst others, Badu Jack, surely that would have taught you that there are levels to boxing. And if these small guys are able to show you things that you had no idea that you were vulnerable to in a boxing ring, what happens when someone who hits 4, 5, 6 times as hard as that does the exact same thing to you and lands it on your chin? The whole reason of why I know where I am in the influencer boxing scene, in the misfit scene, is because of the level that I have sparred at. I've sparred boys that have gone on to box for world titles. I've sparred with English champions, and I've sparred...
Adding cultural context, legendary ring announcer Michael Buffer reflected on the influence of Jake and Logan Paul on modern boxing. He observed that the brothers have drawn a younger, digitally driven audience to the sport, reigniting interest through social media engagement. Their involvement has reshaped promotion, ensuring fights reach audiences beyond traditional broadcasts. While controversial among purists, Buffer acknowledged that their presence injects energy into boxing and guarantees that events like Paul versus Joshua dominate global conversation.
Athletes, you know what Logan does with the WWE and what Jake does with boxing, he knocks people out and everything, and they both have massive fan bases, and for me, it's great to see people get young people that follow them that didn't have, like, you know, they don't remember Ali or Joe Frazier or whatever. It's not in their wheelhouse. So it's great to see them developing fight fans and a big fight atmosphere. So it's very exciting.
These two stood face to face, and the comment section on the internet was going crazy. They were like, call the ambulance now, basically. Like, Anthony Joshua looks dangerous standing next to him.
Anthony Joshua is, at this time, and has been for years, the biggest puncher in boxing. He's a devastating puncher. So I got to give Jake a lot of credit for wanting to take this fight.
Yeah, it's not. A lot of people saying it's not smart. If he somehow was able to surprise the world, what does this do for his?
The word would be surprised if he shocked the world. But that's exactly why you got to give him credit. He wants to do it. He trains hard, he works hard, and he has a lot of faith in himself. So we'll see what happens.
Technically, though, what's the biggest concern for you? What's the biggest tip you can give Jake, knowing